What's up, y'all? It's your boy George Carmi from Full Press Coverage, and I'm here to talk about the NFC East and ranking the quarterbacks of 1 through 4. Let's get it on. Boom! What's up, y'all? I appreciate you spending your time with me today. And like I said before, we're going to talk about the NFC East, and we're going to look at the QBs this go around. We're going to break down the number one quarterback in the division, going all the way down to 4, and talk about also weaknesses, kind of previewing the upcoming season. Thank you guys for spending your time with me. If you're enjoying the content, please follow me at Full Press Commanders with George Carmi on YouTube. I really appreciate a subscribe and comment and a like. If you guys are collaborators and content creators, please hit me up. I'll gladly work with you guys. I love talking football all day long. So, guys, before we jump into the actual quarterback rankings, I want to talk about our division last year. So, look at the NFC East. We saw the Dallas Cowboys 12-1. Sorry, 12-5. They won the division last year, looking pretty solid. They lost some key pieces this year, but they did win the division. They look like juggernauts last year. And in my opinion, the Cowboys had their window to a Super Bowl last year, but kind of squandered it in the first round. We see the Philadelphia Eagles at 9-8, the Washington Commanders at 7-10, and the New York Giants at 4-13. For our purposes today, we're going to talk about the offenses. So it's kind of looking over here at the points for. The Dallas Cowboys, guys, believe it or not, the number one ranked offense in the entire league with 530 points for. We see the Philadelphia Eagles with 444, the Washington Commanders with 335, and the Giants bringing up the rear with 258. Ouch. Doesn't look too hot for them. So we'll see how that goes over there. Guys, let's jump on into it. We're going to rank our top 4 quarterbacks, and there's a variety of reasons why I rank them this way, but I think you guys can assume who is the number one ranked quarterback in the division. Everyone talks about it. Whoops. Let's go back a second. Who runs the NFC East? We talked about it. Who runs it? Number 1 overall is going to be Mr. Dakota Prescott, man. So as a Commanders fan, it hurts for me to say this, but this guy is a solid overall quarterback. Ever since he walked into the league in 2016, he's been putting up numbers. He's a winning quarterback, and he had 4,449 passing yards last year. Coupled that with 37 touchdowns and 10 picks. He was the engine that fueled the Cowboys' number 1 overall offense. We saw that Ezekiel Elliott's kind of taking a step back, kind of falling off a little bit. Still put up 10 touchdowns, but he doesn't seem to have that large burst, that dominating game that he had coming out of Ohio. But Dak Prescott has, $50 million, proving that he actually is a legit quarterback in this league and one of the best quarterbacks in the NFC. So there's no shame having Dak Prescott being ranked number 1 overall in the division, because if you look at his career stats, it's pretty impressive, right? So last year he played in 16 games. He was 11-5. As I mentioned, 68.8% completion, 37 touchdowns is nothing to sneeze at. And overall, he's a winning quarterback. 53 touchdowns, 32 losses altogether, 22,000 yards, 143 touchdowns. Dak Prescott is a leader. He came back as comeback player of the year last year twice. He's the real deal. He's a steal at the 4th round and picked 135, and he's going to be the Cowboys' quarterback for the foreseeable future. I see him retiring in Dallas. I see Jerry Jones falling in love with him. And knock on Dakota Prescott or Dak Prescott, that his nickname is the Fortress. I never heard that before in life, but apparently, according to Pro, that is his nickname. That's the only thing I can hate on him. He's actually a pretty good quarterback altogether. Not another impressive stat about Dak Prescott is his NFC East record, man. 25-6. I believe it's 9-1 against the Commanders is my channel. He's been dominating. He's kind of running the NFC East, so you can't knock on that. He's clear-cut number 1 overall quarterback in the division. He's been running through it. Hopefully he has good health, but hopefully he starts future for our sakes and the rest of the NFC East. Number 2 overall, this might be kind of provocative, some of you guys might say it's Homer, but it's not once I prove it to you guys. The number 2 overall quarterback in the division is Mr. Carson Wentz, okay? Don't hate on it. Carson Wentz, he is legit quarterback. He just got a bad rap coming out of Indianapolis, leaving Philadelphia. There's some locker room issues, but you can't deny the physical talent that Carson Wentz brings. He had 3,553 yards last year, 27 touchdowns, 7 picks, and an overall rating of 94.6 QB rating. Carson Wentz, man, 6'4", 240. He's a large guy, athletic guy. People kind of like, we look at Josh Allen now and how he's like a dominant mobile quarterback with that big arm. That was Carson Wentz. He was the first generation rollout of that. He was the archetype pure quarterback that you wanted with the number 2 overall pick. There's a reason why he was selected that high. So Carson Wentz is legit. Granted, he's been injured and been hurt over the past couple of years. I had some fall off at the end of the year last year with the Colts. People kind of hating on that Jags game, but I think he has the physical tell. And honestly, it's the last kind of hurrah for him. It's a crossroads for him. Basically being on 2 different teams for 2 different years, going on his 3rd team now. Basically, if Carson Wentz doesn't adjust and kind of locker room guy and can work within the system, he's not going to be around the league as a starter anymore. So this is his final hurrah, and hopefully for the Commanders, it's going to be a good thing for him. Going down, as we talked about it, the 2nd overall pick, same draft as Dakota Prescott, Dak Prescott in 2016, 27 touchdowns and 7 picks. People are hating on that, saying that wasn't that impressive. Guys, if you throw out the best year that he had, with Carson Wentz, that Super Bowl run year where he was potentially the MVP, and you throw out that Lattern in Philadelphia, kind of an underachiever and sacked 50 times, he averages about 27 touchdowns and 7 picks. And that's a great ratio. That's a great playoff quarterback. Talking to my friends in the Washington Commanders circle, the East circles, I view Carson Wentz as a playoff quarterback. I wouldn't necessarily say he's an NFL champion quarterback. So we'll see where he goes, where he develops. He definitely has a high ceiling. He has a medium floor. I say right now he's probably quarterback 15 to 17, maybe a little bit higher than that. But Carson Wentz, in my opinion, is the 2nd best quarterback of the division, because you can't hate on his career. 20,000 yards, 140 touchdowns, 57 picks. He puts up numbers, but he needs to kind of come through during crunch time. And he needs to basically kind of get rid of those bonehead hero plays that he's known for. He has a 16-9 overall record against the NFC East. He was a problem when he played the Reds prior. I remember vividly him escaping a Ryan Kerrigan sack and throwing a touchdown. He can produce. He is a solid quarterback altogether. Like physically, he's there. He just has to break through his whole mindset. One thing that convinced me with Carson Wentz being number 2 overall is kind of looking at where he goes at a game per game basis. So looking over here, right? People will just have Dak Prescott on a high pedestal, and I agree. I think Dak Prescott's a great quarterback. But if you kind of look at him toe to toe, this is courtesy of Pro Football Reference. Basically, see side by side their statistics. This is per game basis, right? Both quarterbacks throw the ball. They complete the ball about 22 times a game. Both the quarterbacks throw the ball about 35 times a game. Dak Prescott gets the edge with 259-yard passing, while Carson Wentz has about 240-yard passing. So, all right, tip the cap to Dak Prescott. Touchdowns per game, 1.7 versus 1.6. Interceptions, 0.6, 0.7. If you guys look at it, toe to toe, they have pretty similar numbers as a career, right? Granted, Dak Prescott's trajectory is going up. Carson Wentz, we have no idea where it's going to go, but it's kind of unfair to say that Dak Prescott is an elite, special, top of the 10, top 5, top 10 quarterback in the league, and Carson Wentz being completely washed and done, where I think it's more of like, I think it's more even than that. I would say Dak Prescott's maybe quarterback 8, 9, 10, while we're looking at Carson Wentz more like 15, 16, something like that. So I think Carson Wentz is a serviceable quarterback. He can definitely start. Absolutely not washed. I do think he is clearly the number 2 quarterback in the division. Many of my Eagle fans would hate on me for this, but as you guys know, Jalen Hurts, pretty solid quarterback, but he's still developing. He's still a work in progress. My number 3 NFC East quarterback is Jalen Hurts. He threw the ball for 3,144 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 9 picks. He started, I believe it was 15 games. I think he missed 2 last year. We'll look at that in a second. His QB rating is 87.2. Jalen Hurts, man, I give him credit for being a leader. I give him credit for basically being a locker room guy. People want to play for him. People want to root for him. But just talking to people, watching the games, kind of seeing things. Um, he basically is inaccurate as a quarterback. He's still developing. I news out of Eagles camp right now is that he's developing, he's working on his technique, he's kind of working on his throwing motion. We'll see if that develops. I'm rooting for the guy, I kind of like him. Obviously I don't want him to win against the Commanders, but I do like him as a player. One thing that he does bring to the table is that he is a rushing threat, 784 yards rushing with 10 touchdowns. So if you guys look at what he did before, 16 touchdown passes plus 10 touchdown rushes, he goes up to about 26 total touchdowns, which is still less than Carson Wentz. Just kind of keep that in mind. Okay. So Jalen Hurts, he's an up and coming quarterback. We'll see how he actually develops. The thing that I kind of knock on him is, people love him, but at the same time, he hasn't proved to kind of dominate or win yet. He's 8-7 as a quarterback last year, played in 15 games, 9-10 overall, 16 touchdown passes over 15 games, guys, is not impressive. Like, I know people want to root for him, and the Eagles are the sexy pick this year. That's not dominant. That's not transcendent. He is the big question mark in Philadelphia. Truly, you either have a quarterback that elevates your wide receivers like a Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, or you have wide receivers that are going to elevate your quarterback. And I think the Eagles are kind of going the latter route. They're going with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Zach Pascal. And they're kind of boosting up Jalen Hurts to kind of get him there. And he may eventually get there. But I think right now, going into the season, he's QB3 in the division. Right now, he's 5-5 record against the NFC East in his career, and that includes 2 wins against the Commanders. Guys, I'm always going to hate on that because Garrett Gilbert started one game. That was the COVID game that got moved. Washington was a hot mess at the end of the season. The Eagles were peaking at the right time. I do like Jalen Hurts, but I would not give him the he hasn't achieved that 20,000 passing yards, 147 touchdown passes that Carson Wentz has. If Jalen Hurts can prove it to me over the years, I can give him some credit, but he isn't there yet, in my opinion. Bringing in the rear, baby. Sorry, Giants fans. We're going to Danny Dimes Jones. 2,428 yards passing, 10 touchdowns, 7 picks, QB rating at 84.8. This guy coming out of Duke was a high draft pick. He actually was, let's take a look, the 6th overall pick in 2019. He had, some intangibles. You kind of saw him as a, big arm quarterback, pretty mobile, but 6'5", 221. But Danny Dimes hasn't converted, and it's going to be a pretty interesting year in New York. They did not pick up his 5th-year option. He basically is at the end of the year, could be a free agent. He could be re-signed to a long-term deal, and I think New York would prefer that. If he actually proved to be the quarterback that they aspire to be, he might actually become that quarterback with his new head coach. But right now, he just isn't there. His career record is 12-25 altogether, 4-7 last season, 2,428 yards. He's been in the league for 3 years now. Hasn't broken 10K, 10 touchdowns, 7 picks. Daniel Jones has something to grow into. I kind of got to bite my tongue, though. Daniel Jones always eats up the Commanders whenever he plays us. He becomes prime Michael Vick whenever that comes about, but he just isn't there yet compared to the other quarterbacks. I do think the division will be pretty competitive this year. He is 7-7 against the NFC East. He's another 500 guy. Got swept by the Commanders last year. He beat Philadelphia apparently in one game. Did a pretty good job altogether. But Danny Dimes bringing in the rear at number 4. One thing I want to say is both these guys, Jalen Hurts and Daniel Jones, are a work in progress. If you look at their per game basis, we start seeing Jalen Hurts, only 19 passing attempts per game, only 11 completions per game. You could tell the Eagles were kind of hiding him as a quarterback. Only 140 yards passing per game, guys. And people really want to jump on the Jalen Hurts bandwagon and really want to say he's QB2. He isn't there yet, guys. He really isn't. He averages less than a touchdown a game with 0.7. Every game at a 0.4. Every other game averages an interception there. Jalen Hurts, I do like the potential of him, but he's not there. He does not deserve to be QB2. Daniel Jones, looking over here, 221 yards passing per game, 1.2 touchdowns, 0.8 interceptions. Interception rate is high. That sack rate is high. It's not his fault with the offensive line, but Daniel Jones is not there yet. So basically, as I mentioned before, QB1, Dakota Prescott, 2, Carson Wentz, 3, Jalen Hurts, and then finally bringing on the rear, Daniel Jones. Guys, what we're going to do to kind of bring it on home, this is basically George Carmi from Full Press Coverage Commanders. We're going to do a couple more of these. I'm going to do the running backs next, moving on to the offensive line and tight ends, and flip over to the defense. So please subscribe to my channel if you're enjoying this content. Please watch the next one. Please drop some comments. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Let's bring it on, man. So have a great night. Take care, guys. Talk to y'all soon. Peace.